can we say?
Yeah, I heard somebody talking when we were both at some joint speaking thing, and one of them referred to me as the fat old retired hunter. And
I never said old.
And Duncan, that was you. And Duncan is a new improved hunter. So, when we talk about principles and politics, sometimes it seems like a contradiction because so much of politics, and necessarily so, is a rough and tumble game with where the American people, all 300 million of them, get a chance to exert their interests. And their interests are sometimes economic interests, they're sometimes a foreign policy interest, but they get to exert and leverage their interests through representatives, through senators, and in the big one, through their vote for the presidency. And that occurs all the way from the federal government through local government. And that's the way it should be. And there's nothing wrong with people having an interest, a personal interest in legislation and pushing it and going to see their representative and trying to win with their idea or their interest over another interest. At least in America, we do it with ballots, not bullets. We don't shoot each other, but we have some pretty tough political contests. And there's our streams of people with interests who come to Washington, D.C., and that's totally appropriate. It's been that way since the founding of this nation. But there are other people who have no interest except principle. And when I think of Anna, I think of my own dad, who went back to Washington, D.C. After he'd been developing land in California, walked into see the head of the Republican Party and said, "My name is Bob Hunter. I'm going to volunteer for a year of my life. We're going to turn America around." This is back in the 1950s. And later, the guy who was the head of the party at that time, Ab Herman, said, "You know, Bob," he said, I had to check up on you because he said, nobody comes into this town with no angle, with no interest, and says they just want to help out of principle. But my dad did. And I've always thought of Anna as having that pureness of principle that was exactly the same. And I learned yesterday that she helped to found the VIP when a guy named John Ashbrook was running for president. I don't know how many people remember John Ashbrook. Okay, there's some real conservatives here. Barry Goldwater and Ronald Reagan would have said, "John Ashbrook, there's a real conservative, representative from Illinois." And he ran for president, and a lot of conservatives wanted to help him. And the Republican Party at the time, I'm told, said, "No, our guy is the incumbent. That's Richard Nixon, who's a pretty good conservative." And he said, well, we want to have a chance. This is a primary, at least to support and espouse and have a chance to talk about John Ashbrook. And so the party wasn't ready to do that. So VIPs was formed. And I asked somebody, I said, "When was Anna the head of tell me the different times she was the head of VIPs?" And they said, "When wasn't she?" And what a great thing to have. And that's what keeps this nation moving. Because other nations have lots of interests, have constituents with lots of interests. They can Xerox a copy of our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence for a few pennies. But those documents and the principles they represent live right here because of people like Anna, because of people who are honest brokers in this political system who have only principle to care about. And it is a testament to Anna that the two guys who preceded me here, who were one an office holder and one an office aspirant and a military hero, Jay LeSueur and Nick Popovich, because Anna was a big part in their running for office, and in Jay's case, becoming the greatest assemblyman I think I've ever seen in my career, and a man of enormous principle. And the guy who just followed him just before Janice spoke, the guy with the eye patch down there, the Marine gunnery sergeant, who, I don't know if you know this, attacked in the city of Fallujah, in the huge battle of Fallujah that this Marine was in. Gunny didn't want to wait around for the rest of the battalion, so he attacked by himself with his tank a day early. and literally fought his way halfway through that city and came out and loaded up with ammo and came back again till he was wounded. And he made his way back to this community to run for political office. And one inspiration that he told me for his wanting to run for this office was Anna. So what a testament to her impact in this world. You know, Lynn and I sat down and saw the movie It's a Wonderful Life the other day. You can see that movie over and over again, can't you? And Jimmy Stewart was in an SNL business, which was that was a good, I think, a pretty good representative movie for a guy who was ruined. His SNL, like a lot of others, went out of business. And he was on the verge of, he thought of being arrested for money that he'd lost, but they would find it stolen. So he was out on a bridge, ready to kill himself, ready to jump off the bridge, and an angel helped him back. And the way the angel helped him back wasn't by solving all of his problems. It was by telling him, showing him through a fantasy what that town would have been like and what the people of that town would have been like if he'd never been born. Remember, he made the statement, "I wish I'd never been born," and the angel said, "I think I can show that to you." And he showed how all the people that he'd had an effect in real life on, an effect for the better, now didn't have that wonderful effect on their life, that wonderful influence on their life that was him. And I thought about that when I was coming up here to talk about Anna, because Anna has had an effect on all of us. A wonderful, fantastic effect and a model. I think, and with it, a sense of discipline. I think she wants us not just to think about how wonderful she was and how principled she was and how she cared about politics, because politics is rough and tough and mean and people want to turn away. But if we're not involved in politics, the other guys will control it. Perhaps people that don't have principle. So I know that she'd want us not just to say and to reflect, but to do. And so I was thinking of the first Psalm. It's my favorite. Maybe that's because I don't read them all. I really like the first. And it says that the righteous man is a man who is like a tree planted by springs of water. Well, Anna was a spring of water for all of us. We're all like trees planted by springs of water. And if we absorb that principle and that dedication and all those great things that Jay said so wonderfully, eloquently, then we in turn will be inspirations to others. So I want to just say that it was wonderful knowing Anna and having that model and having that wonderful, wonderful lady to be like a spring of water in my life. And now you got the new and improved Duncan Hunter's got a message from another guy that knew Anna very well.
Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. Hey, first, let me say it's kind of interesting contrasting me. I'm only 35 years old. Anna's been involved in politics for almost twice my age. I have no idea the type of foundation that she set. I mean, think about it. Democrats, liberals controlled Congress since 1955. There's a lot of downtime there, a lot of time to get discouraged, a lot of time to be upset and say there's no way we can win, there's no way we can do it. But she was part of that driving force that led us to where we are, to have it, at least give us a fighting chance. Jay said she was a warrior. Well, I'll tell you what I wake up, and I was actually thinking of Anna about 2 months ago. We're dealing with all of the debt limit stuff and all this stuff in Congress. And I talked to John Boehner, and he now uses a phrase that I would like to use to describe Anna, and that's this: a happy warrior. A happy warrior. Look at her face in all of those pictures in front of you. She's smiling. She was a fighter, but she was a happy warrior. She knew how to do it. She could show up to work, whistle, and zippity-doo-dah, but whip you in the end, and that's what we need. So I'd like to read a quick message from Gary Becks, the head of Rescue Task Force, and just a huge admirer of hers and friend of hers, who is not able to be here today because he's in Honduras doing what Ann would probably have him be doing right now, which is getting after it and working. Karen, family, VIPs, and friends, my grief is compounded at not being able to be with you today as you celebrate the life of one very special lady. I have a vision of Anna entering heaven, After being welcomed home by our Lord, giving a polite greeting to St. Peter as she swept through the express lane at the gate, then Paul, disciples, Moses, and so many, and then after the obligatory courtesies, asking, okay, where's my Ronald Reagan, where's Thomas Jefferson, and my fellow pamphleteer, Thomas Paine? I have been waiting for a long time to talk with them. On the way to meet her heroes, though, there will be a small crowd of diminutive people waiting to greet their hero, people from many lands and many tongues who have gone on before, freedom fighters and victims of persecution and suppression during our time, and unknown people from previously unreached jungle villages, friends of Anna's that she never had met but whose lives were touched by her loving generosity, dedication to freedom, liberty, and caring for others. Anna loves her America and worked not only to protect her, but also to share the blessings of this great nation and keep the shining light on the hill shining brightly all around the world and on all of God's children. Dearest Anna, your legacy lives on here in our local community, our county, state, nation, and indeed around the world and around the clock. We thank you, Anna. We thank the Lord for having sent you, Gary, the Rescue Task Force team, and those that we serve. God bless Anna Dewey. Thank you.